Okay, so I'm going to start making the arm for my trebuchet. So if I'm the person on my group in charge of making the arm, the first thing I would do is I would log into my account and then open the document, and I would click the tab labeled arm. If you don't have one yet, you can click plus, create part studio, and rename it as arm. So I'm a fan of sort of imagining what this is going to be made out of and then modifying that thing based on the knowledge of how it's going to be created. So this arm is going to be made out of a 3/4 inch square dowel, and then holes are going to be drilled in it. So the first thing I might do is create a 3/4 inch square dowel. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to select sketch, and I'm going to choose to put this in the front plane right there. I always like to view my sketch plane flat on, so I'm going to click the front side of this view cube. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab a rectangle tool. In this case, I'm going to use my center point rectangle because I'm going to center it on my origin. I always like the first thing I put down to somehow be attached to something. And the origin is a great place to do that. So I'm going to use a center point rectangle, click here, and bring it out just like this. And I'm going to select my dimension tool, click, move out to set my dimension down, and click again. And I'm going to say 0.75 inches, which is 3/4 of an inch. Now, because it's a square dowel, I could label the other side 0.75. That's good. Or, let me undo that. I could use the constraint that says equal. Make multiple lines equal in length. So I'm going to click that equal sign, and I'm going to say that the top side has to equal the left side. Because this is a square dowel, that's really nice. If tomorrow Coach Mandel comes in and goes, actually, it's a 1-inch square dowel, then all I have to do is double click this measurement. Let me unselect my equal tool and change it to 1 inch, and suddenly the whole thing gets larger. Let's undo that. It is going to be a 3/4 inch dowel. I've already ordered them. All right, let's click the green check mark to finish this sketch. Now I'm going to select the area right here, and I'm going to extrude that. And this is kind of the first thing where you, as a group, need to make this choice. Within your plan, within your planning documents, within your brainstorming, you probably thought about how long is this arm going to be. Who knows how long you made it? Let's say we made it 15 inches. So I'm going to extrude this for 15 inches. You can see it makes this 3/4 inch long arm. I'm going to click the green check mark, and there I am. This is as if I got that 3/4 inch dowel, I measured out 15 inches, took it over to the miter saw, and gave it a cut. So what else does this need? Well, the most important thing it needs is a hole in the side for the axle. All right, a hole in the side for the axle. So I'm going to do that by creating a sketch on the side of the arm. So I'm going to click sketch. It says to select a sketch plane, so I'm going to select this side right here. I'm going to view this from the right side. And now I'm going to go ahead and add a circle, which represents my hole. Now I could just place it anywhere, but I do want to make sure it's in the center of this arm. So I'm going to hover over the center point of the right side here, and I'm going to move it in like this. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my little circle. The axle that has to fit in there is 1/4 of an inch. It's a 1/4 inch steel rod. So I'm going to, right here, put 0.25. That's a quarter. You'll notice that that circle is still blue. That means that if I don't have any tools selected, let me unselect the dimension tool, I can take that circle and I can still move it. That's something we don't like in CAD. We don't like things to be undefined, not fully defined. So what it's missing is how far is it down the length of this rod. I'm going to select my dimension tool, and I'm going to say that from the center of this hole to the edge of the rod is, let's say, 4 inches. This is this is a design choice that is up to you and your team. You'll want to do research. What's a good ratio for the distance to the basket to the pivot point versus the distance from the pivot point to the end of the rod where your sling will be attached? All right. So I'm going to have that hole there. I do need probably another hole, depending how I'm going to attach my basket. Let's say I was going to attach my basket to the end through a hole. So let's draw another hole. Let's put it right in here. And you notice that I made sure it was even with the center point over there. And I'm also going to make this 0.25 inches. You'll notice that if you type dimensions right after you create an object, you don't have to always go to the dimension tool. But I do need the dimension tool to let me know how far I need to be from the end. You see it's still blue. So I'm going to define this distance. Let's say that I'm going to make it half an inch from the end. There we go. All right. So this looks good. Those are the two holes I'm going to put in there. I'm not going to think about what's going to go in the end here. Probably we're going to put a nail or something in the end, so you don't need to necessarily model that hole right now. All right, let's go ahead and click the green check mark. And then I would select the area inside there and select the area here. You can select multiple areas at a time to extrude. I'm going to select extrude, and I am going to change this solid extrusion from an addition to a solid remove. So you'll notice it now goes backwards. It's going through there. This is 3/4 inch. This is a 3/4 inch square, so I need to extrude it a depth of 3/4 of an inch or 0.75. I can do that. Another thing I could do instead of doing a blind extrusion is I could say, you know what, don't remove it 3/4 of an inch, remove it up until the next face. So I can change this from a blind extrusion to up to face. Then I can click this blue box and I can select this far face. That way, if I change the side of this rod, it will automatically go up to the next face. I'm going to click the green check mark, and there we go. Let's view this from a good angle. That's my rod. That looks like a decent arm. At least it's a good place to start. A wonderful thing about this is as you design, if your team makes a choice to change, hey, we want that arm to be longer, I can say, okay, well, where did I do that? I made my sketch, and then I extruded it. Here we go. Let's double click extrusion 1 for 15 inches. If the team member says, you know what, we decided we want to make it longer, we want it to be 18 inches, I can change that and click the green check mark. And now it's just longer. If I decide we want to move this hole farther up or down the trebuchet, the arm, I can double click sketch 2 where I drew that hole. And I can change this from 4 inches to 5 inches and it will move. And then the whole thing regenerates real easily. It's pretty nice. So if you're in charge of making the arm of your trebuchet, that's sort of a rough way that you could do this. You probably don't need to get too fancy on this piece, but you know, it's a good place to start. It's one of your key design components. So take the time to do it. Good luck.